Welcome back to Comerica Park. We have baseball tonight here in downtown Detroit. Rick Porcello about to lead the Tigers onto the field. It's the Tigers and the Minnesota Twins tonight on a gorgeous night for baseball here in the Motor City, and we are glad to have you with us. Here is the starting lineup for the visiting Twins. It is presented by the Metro Detroit Chevy dealers. Eric Komatsu will lead it off in center field, followed by Brian Dozier, the shortstop. 2 or more hits in 4 of his 9 games with Minnesota. Joe Mauer, the DH tonight. Josh Willingham in left. Justin Morneau at first base. Ryan Doumit will catch. Their bottom 3 is Trevor Plouffe, Alexi Casilla, and Jamie Carroll. Tiger starting pitcher tonight is Rick Porcello, and he is presented by Soaring Eagle Casino.
After back-to-back tremendous starts for Porcello, he kind of stubbed his toe 5 days ago against the Oakland Athletics. 5 innings and he threw 100 pitches, so he didn't have good command in that outing. He'll need to get back on track tonight against this Minnesota Twins offense.
As Ricky Porcello warms up, we remind you if the Tigers combine for 3 or more home runs in this game, bring a copy of the box score to a participating Arby's location tomorrow, and you'll get yourself a free small order of curly fries.
Beaumont Health System is the sponsor of our defense tonight. Jackson has not committed an error in 106 games. And Santiago, he is getting the start at shortstop today. Jim said before the game he's trying to get Santiago's bat going. And Johnny Peralta also has struggled against the Twin starter, Nick Blackburn.
There is Santiago starting at shortstop tonight for the Tigers. So Detroit coming off an emotional win yesterday, a really good win against the Chicago White Sox, albeit a nail-biter. Hoping to continue that here tonight against Minnesota.
Did I hear Jim correctly today when he said that yesterday's win was one of the most satisfying wins of his managerial career?
Yes, he did, and we have further proof. Leland talked about that win yesterday against the Chicago White Sox.
We were struggling on the road. They didn't have a very good road trip up to that point, and it could have been really bad. But to come out of that 4-5, it wasn't so bad to go to the West Coast and have to stop in Chicago on the way back and go on 10 days in and out of hotels. And against Jake Peavy yesterday, to be 6 runs down and come back and win that game, that was one of my most rewarding wins, I think. I thought the team really showed a lot of character.
Well, that's a mouthful right there. One of his most rewarding wins. Down 6-0 against Jake Peavy. It did look bleak.
And that was after really losing the game the day before that, which was very disappointing.
Absolutely. So a nice way to head back to the Motor City, and hopefully they'll continue that here tonight. Eric Komatsu will lead things off. Denard Span was originally in their starting lineup, but he has a bad hamstring, and so he was a late scratch tonight. First pitch of the ball game is fouled back out of play by Komatsu, and it's good to be back home, albeit a short homestand. Komatsu is batting .240. No homers yet this year, 1 RBI. The thing about Span not being in the lineup tonight, he has been a Tiger killer of sorts.
Yes, he has.
So he will be missed this evening for Minnesota. Porcello missing high, 1-1. This is what the Twins are missing tonight. .353 lifetime against Detroit in 53 games. Here's the 1-1 pitch. 2 balls, 1 strike on Eric Komatsu.
If you don't know by now, Porcello 2 weeks ago kind of changed his delivery in the windup. He now goes over the head, which gets him to a nice balanced spot, and he's able to locate his fastball a little bit better, and the velocity has also gone up.
On the ground to first base, right at Prince, and 1 gone. First ground ball out of the night. Of many, we assume, for Porcello. We'll bring in Brian Dozier.
Now here's that windup. When he gets to this balance point, he's able to allow his arm to catch up. He gets a better arm swing to the back, and therefore much more velocity with the fastball. And he still has really good movement, even though the fastball sometimes will get up to 95 miles an hour.
Here is Dozier. He takes high. One of the things that Jim Leland said following that start against the Athletics on the road trip, in which he gave up 4 runs in 5 innings, is that he really had trouble keeping the ball down. And once it gets up, as with most pitchers, that's where you will get hurt. The 1-0. That stays up again. 2 balls and no strikes.
With the increased velocity that he's enjoying these days, he may have been overthrowing. That's an indication of balls up in the strike zone.
last two pitches at 94 and 93 miles an hour. 2-0 sails inside. 3 balls and no strikes on Brian Dozier.
But make no mistake about it, when Porcello is at his best, he's getting lots of ground balls. He has averaged almost 2 ground balls for every fly ball since coming to the majors.
Taking on 3-0. It's on the outer edge. 3-1. Waiting on deck is Joe Mauer, the DH tonight for Minnesota.
When's the last time we did an open when Minnesota was in town and we didn't really talk about the M&M boys?
A long time ago, if ever, really. There's a strike call. And Morneau just off the disabled list today, so he's back in action. Has had a bad wrist. He's had a concussion problem. And, of course, Morneau last year, or I should say Mauer last year, really scuffled. He was on the DL a couple times. There's a chopper back up the middle. Santiago charging. Dozier.
That ball hit Prince right in the glove and fell to the ground. He will be given an air.
Right out of his glove. So it's a 1-out base runner for Minnesota on what appeared to be a routine play. E3, and here is Joe Mauer. He checks in at .319 career against the Tigers. And he looks at strike one. The encouraging thing is 2 batters, 2 ground balls from Porcello. Mauer has hit 1 home run this year.
Teams have started to pitch Mauer a little bit differently. He still has that classic inside-out swing where he can drive the ball to left field with regularity, but teams are forcing him to pull the ball a little bit more often too. As a result, 10 hits to the pull field, and that's a lot for Mauer this early in the season.
That's flared toward left field, slicing, and it's going to drop. Fair ball to the corner it goes. Dozier on his way to third. They're going to try and score him. Santiago's relay to the plate is not in time. It sails by the catcher Avila, and Mauer will take third.
That is Joe Mauer at his best. Porcello with a runner on first base and Mauer in the batter's box. The ball has to be a little bit lower. He probably was trying to get it down, but Mauer takes a really good swing at it, and Santiago will be given an error after that ball gets past Avila.
So the Tigers playing some sloppy defense here in this first inning. An error by Prince, and then an error on that throw right there by Santiago. 1 run in, and Mauer gets his 16th RBI, credited with a double. Here's Josh Willingham. Ball inside, 1-0.
First inning have somewhat been an issue this year for Porcello. I know that Texas game, he gave up 8 runs in the first inning. Then his next start against the Seattle Mariners, he gave up 3 earned runs in that first inning.
1 ball, 1 strike. And tonight he's given up another one here this evening. 15 runs allowed in 8 starts in the first frame. Mauer at third with less than 2 outs, only 1 away as Willingham tries to get him in. Strike called. Up with the right hand goes Eric Cooper.
Willingham has been a nice pickup for Minnesota, with Mauer not necessarily being Joe Mauer, and Morneau missing some time with the wrist injury. He has hit 7 homers and driven in 21.
Well, he was extremely productive last year with the Oakland Athletics, very quietly. The 1-2 sails high. He hit 29 homers and very nearly drove in 100 runs. Finished with 98.
If you're Porcello, the one thing that you have going for you right now is the fact that he also struck out 150 times, and Porcello has 2 strikes on him now and looking for a strikeout.
It would help, and he missed with it. 3-2. Dozier reaching on an error. scoring on the double by Mauer. Morneau waiting on deck. And a drive to left field. That's down. It's a fair ball. It goes to the corner. Mauer will score, and Willingham will trot into second with a double, in Minnesota out to a 2-0 lead tonight. 22nd RBI for Josh Willingham.
That's a breaking ball. Obviously, he wanted that ball down and away. You can see where Avila is set up, and for whatever reason, it flattened out on Rick, and most of the time those don't reach the catcher's glove.
2 runs on 2 hits and 2 Tigers errors in this first inning. Now Justin Morneau off the disabled list today with a wrist problem. Chris Parmalee was sent down to their AAA team. And as you see, 20 career home runs against the Tigers and an average well above 300. Porcello throws a strike. 1-1. For a while, Mauer and Morneau was as devastating as it got offensively in the American League, but injuries have really crippled both of them the last 2 years. Swing and a miss. 94 up at the letters. 1-2. Mauer last year on the DL twice. Willingham at second. Still only 1 out of the inning. Swing and a miss, and Morneau is out of there. So his first at bat off the DL results in a strikeout.
That's where Porcello needs to live, south of the knees with the fastball.
First strikeout of the game for Rick, and that'll bring up Ryan Domit. And he has hit 5 home runs this year in 32 games for Minnesota. Ball 1 to the former Pittsburgh Pirate, Ryan Domit.
I guess Domit replaced Jason Kubel, and Willingham replaced Michael Kadire.
2 really big losses in the offseason. 1 ball, 1 strike.
But both Willingham and Domit doing a very nice job of picking up the slack. Although it's very difficult to replace the clubhouse presence that Michael Kadire had on this team.
Well, they've combined for 12 home runs this year in replacing. Strike call. 1-2. Kadire and Kubel had been twins for so long that you were used to seeing them in the clubhouse on a daily basis. Sometimes replacing that presence is difficult. Now Porcello with the 1-2. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. So Rick comes back with a couple of strikeouts after the back-to-back doubles. Minnesota gets a 2 spot. We go to the bottom of the first. Justin Jackson getting set to lead things off for Detroit. Here is the Tigers starting lineup presented by Big Boy. It's Jackson, Dirks, and Cabrera in the top 3 spots. Prince Fielder batting cleanup. Delman Young, your DH. Avila. Rayburn at second. Bosch, an 8-game hitting streak right now in right field. And Santiago is the shortstop. Nick Blackburn is the starting pitcher for the Twins, presented by Bill Fox Chevrolet of Rochester.
Blackburn's numbers aren't pretty. He is 1-4. He has an earned run average that's over 7, and he has struck out 17, walked 11 in just 31 in the 3rd innings. And the league is hitting 310, against Nick.
So hopefully the Tigers can pump up those numbers a little bit more as Jackson leads it off. AJ batting .323, 11 hits on the road trip. Breaking ball bounces all the way to the backstop. 1 ball, 1 strike. Blackburn is 30 years of age, born in Ada, Oklahoma. Now the 1-1. That missed inside. 2 balls, 1 strike.
Rick Anderson, their pitching coach, has encouraged Blackburn to get rid of the cut fastball. He's given up a lot of hits this year. He wants him to get rid of the cutter, go to the 4-seam.
Bouncing ball to third over the glove of Carroll into left field.
And also get back to throwing his curveball, his slider, and his changeup. So no cutters today for Blackburn.
Jackson, who had a nice road trip, starts off the homestand with a high chop.
Must hit that right off the dirt.
He did indeed.
Right over the head of Carroll. Something Blackburn has done very well this year, which means something has to give, and it's already given. And with Jackson getting a base hit, he has limited the first 2 hitters in the lineup to a 167 batting average this year.
Well, the 1-2 guys in the Tigers lineup have been really good.
That's right.
So hopefully those numbers will change as well. Dirks at .414 on the road trip.
There has not been an attempt of a steal with Blackburn on the mound this year. Not one.
Jackson, meanwhile, is 6 for 6 in the stolen base category. One of the things Jim Leland has done in his team's struggles in the last week and a half is tried some different things to jumpstart the offense. Be it a hit and run, trying to steal some bases. Now it's 3-0 on Dirks. Tigers trying to set the table for the big guys, Cabrera and Fielder, here in the 1st inning. There's a strike called, 3-1.
Since it's very difficult to steal a base with Blackburn on the mound, and typically he throws lots of ground balls, not so many this year, may see Jackson on the move.
He is holding, and it's rolled foul just outside of the bag at first. Here is the Farmers Insurance report card, and here's what we're talking about. We're talking about Dirks and Jackson. How about these numbers in the month of May?
Getting it done.
396 for AJ, 400 for Dirks.
Now that is the definition of a couple of table setters.
3-2. There goes the runner, and it's ball 4 inside, and the table is now set. Single and a walk.
Let's set the Tigers defensive alignment, the Minnesota Twins defensive alignment for you. It is always presented by Tim Hortons. Willingham, Komatsu, Plouffe in the outfield. Only the 5th start of the year for the former MVP and perennial All-Star Justin Morneau at first. Ryan Doman is the catcher here today. You know that Joe Mauer is the DH.
So now Cabrera with 2 on, nobody out. Miguel was 5 for 10 in the 2-game series against the Chicago White Sox.
And the numbers that he has posted against the Blackburn in his career are scary.
Well, he's homered 3 times against him. Here's the 0-1. swing and a drive into center field. Hit well. Komatsu will get there. Jackson tagging up. He's coming to third. Dirks into second. Both runners able to move up on the deep fly to left center.
I was beginning to wonder whether Jackson was going to get back in time so he could tag up to get to third base. Dirks, he was able to tag up immediately. If you're Komatsu in center field, you did the right thing. You go to second base. It's a shorter throw. You try to get Dirks there, but he couldn't get either base runner.
Cabrera knew he got a lot of that, but not enough if you hit it out to center field. Here's Prince Fielder. Base hit away from tying this one up. Strike one to Prince. It has been a great sign to see Prince have a couple of 3-hit games back to back, the last 2 in Chicago. Average of 292. Now the 0-1. Swing and a miss, and a mighty swing. 0-2.
It's a changeup at 81.
Fielder has 18 RBIs. And Blackburn's 0-2. 1 ball and 2 strikes as Domet is able to smother it. Jackson let it off with a base hit. Dirks then walked, and both runners advanced on the deep fly by Cabrera. Blackburn with a really rocky start to this year. In fact, his month of April was really tough. He was 0-3. That's fouled off. But the month of May has been his best month historically in his career. He's 14-4 in May, and Rick Anderson hoping that he can turn things around this year, because they certainly are going to need him in their rotation to step up. Blackburn has been a double-digit winner several times in his career. The 1-2. High fly ball left field. This will back Willingham up. Jackson tagging. He'll come in to score. And Dirks will hold at second base. Set fly by Prince Fielder. And the Tigers get on the board. 2-1 ball game. And RBI number 19 for Prince. Here's Delman Young. Delman is a career .303 hitter against his former teammates. Delman came over from the Twins last year. Trying to drive in a 2-out run. Dirks at second. And he fouls it back out of play.
As a matter of fact, the day that Delman Young was traded from the Twins to the Detroit Tigers, Minnesota was in town, and he rode the Minnesota team bus to the ballpark and simply made a left turn into the Tigers clubhouse instead of going to Minnesota's clubhouse.
I forgot about that.
And then he homered off of him in his first at bat.
The 0-1 is swung on and missed. 0-2.
He said Michael Kodaier, who we were talking about earlier as being one of the leaders of the Minnesota team now in Colorado, said, well, you might as well ride to the yard with us
instead of paying for a cab. And then when he got to the yard, as you mentioned, he homered against him. Well, he hit .342 against Minnesota last year. He stays alive by fouling that pitch off.
Ask and you shall receive. That's his first at bat as a Tiger.
He announced his arrival with a bang. Oh, 0-2. Busting him inside, and the ball misses for a 1-2 count now on Delman Young.
You wonder what kind of adjustment Blackburn will be able to make here today. As I indicated earlier, no cut fastballs, 4-seam, 2-seam, curve, slider, and change.
Swing and a miss, and he got Young to chase. That will end the inning. However, the Tigers get on the board on the sac fly by Prince Fielder.
Doesn't have a complete game yet in his career. I'd like for him to see that. Maybe not tonight, but I'd like for him to get a complete game so he knows what it feels like to be out there shaking the hands of his teammates on the field.
That is Twins analyst and Hall of Famer Bert Blyleven and his thoughts on Rick Porcello, who takes the hill here in the second.
There have been a couple of occasions where Porcello clearly could have gone out and completed a game, but Jim, with Jose Valverde in his bullpen, has elected not to do that with Porcello as of yet.
The one that sticks out to me was the Pittsburgh game last year.
Had one this year too.
There's a strike called on Trevor Plouffe, who leads it off.
Just a couple of starts ago against Kansas City, he pitched 8 innings and only threw 98 pitches. He could have very easily gone out and finished that one.
Plouffe is hitting a .133, getting things started here in the second. And Rick missing outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, Rick certainly now has been in the big leagues a few years, so he is off the list where the Tigers watch pitch counts, and they really treat their young pitchers with kid gloves in the first couple of years. And I think Porcello now is to the point where he's beyond that. So I'm sure we'll see some complete games in his future.
He and Jeff Jones have had a really nice working relationship. When Chuck Hernandez was a pitching coach here a few years ago, when Jones was the bullpen coach, Jones pretty much exclusively worked with Porcello. On several occasions, Porcello would eat dinner at Jones's house, and of course they would talk pitching. Rick was just a teenager at that time, so Jeff Jones has been quite the mentor to Porcello.
Rick in his career has gone 8 innings in a start 7 times. And you spoke of the time he did it earlier this year against KC. Pitched into the 8th against Chicago earlier this year as well. There's a chopper hit toward third. It's a foul ball behind the bat. Cabrera's showing off that throwing arm anyway, even though it's ruled foul.
Starting to feel a lot comfortable over there. He picked that one, those big old mitts he's got. Barehanded. He knew it was foul.
Otherwise, you don't take that chance. 3-2 pitch. in the air, center field. Here comes Jackson. And Plouffe is out of there. 1 out. Hey, by the way, this game tonight is available in crystal clear high definition on Fox Sports Detroit HD, sponsored by Xfinity from Comcast. I need to find some different words. I keep using crystal clear or stunning to describe it, so I'll work on that.
Well, you're the college graduate. Don't be looking over here at me. You know,
I was.
My vocabulary is limited.
You can help me out. You haven't busted out college graduate in over a year.
I know, a long time.
Here's Alexi Casilla. He's batting with 1 out here in the second. Showing bunt, drops it down nicely. Cabby with a bare hand play. Got him at first base.
Look out, Cabby.
That was a whale of a play.
And it's the most difficult play for him and anybody relearning the position. It's a do or die play in a big body guy. You got to clear that left hip out of the way as he does, and he flips it over to Prince, and he's got some strength in that throwing arm. That's a really good bunt by Casilla.
I am still surprised not more teams are doing this on a more regular basis against Cabrera, but the more he makes that play, the less they'll think about it. Strike called on Jamie Carroll. Carroll batting .222. He's been around with a lot of different teams, including the Indians in the American League. He rolls this one deep in the hole and through. 2-out single for Carroll.
I'll tell you something else regarding that play that Miggy just made. The bunt was so good, you don't make that play unless you're absolutely anticipating that Casilla will bunt, because that was a pretty good bunt.
That throwing arm, I think a lot of times will make up for maybe the extra step it takes Cabrera to get to balls.
He's got accuracy with the arm as well.
Here's Komatsu. He bounced out his first time up.
Cabby gets on the balls of his feet. He's already on the cut of the grass, so Casillas is like daring him. He calls Porcello off, so the concentration was good.
Carroll has 4 swipes down there at first base, 4 out of 6. Rick now has given up 3 hits. He trails 2-1. Komatsu grounded out to Prince Fielder his first time up. Here's the 1-0. 2-0. One of the things Jim Leyland said going forward that he needs to see more of is consistency from 2 guys in his rotation, and that would be Porcello and Scherzer. Verlander's been what they expected. Doug Fister is back and has pitched well. And Drew Smiley has been, I think, more than expected. There goes the runner. Bouncing ball to second. Knocked down by Rayburn, and he has no play. He backed up on that ball and got eaten up.
Rayburn allowed this ball to basically play him, and it hit him right in the heel of the glove and bounced out.
3rd error of the ball game now for Detroit. They committed 2 in the first inning, and we'll see if this leads to any scoring here in the second. Brian Dozier will step in. Ball 1.
Dozier played 4 sports in high school. Baseball, of course, basketball, football, and a good golfer.
And that really is amazing, because 2 sports is difficult enough to juggle along with your studies. There's a chopper foul, third base side.
Had a good year last year between A-ball and AA. He was rated as having the best hands of any of the minor league infielders that the Twins could put in the big leagues this year. Good range, good arm. They think they found the shortstop for a number of years.
Batting .297 coming in. high, towering fly ball, deep left field. That ball is way back, and it is gone. A home run for Brian Dozier.
Only his second big fly of the season. So the air costly.
A 3-run shot for Dozier, and the air kept the inning alive. Second home run for Dozier. RBIs 3, 4, and 5. And very little doubt about that one. 5-1 lead for Minnesota. Strike called on Joe Mauer. He doubled, knocked in a run back in the first. Mauer rolls it foul. 0-2 the count. 45 pitches now for Porcello. 29 strikes. Dozier just got him for the 3-run shot. Here's the 0-2 to Joe Mauer. Off the inside part of the plate. 1-2. Two in the first and now 3 here in the second for a Twins team that was certainly struggling coming in. They were swept by the Indians before this series started. Shattered his bat. Slow roller towards second. Rayburn has that one, and the inning is over. Not before some damage is done. Dozier with a 3-run shot. Detroit is brought to you by Comerica Bank. Strength and stability since 1849. Ram, guts, glory, Ram. And by Kraft Foods. Make something amazing. Not the type of start the Tigers were hoping for on this homestand. They're down 5-1 as we go to the bottom of the second. And it'll be Alex Avila to start things off for Detroit. Nick Blackburn has a 4-run lead to work with now. Avila batting .240 on the season. .308 career against Minnesota. And Alex checks it for strike 2.
Well, maybe getting back to the house for 5 days. Avila's batting average will perk up a little bit. His numbers are really one-sided, home and road.
1-2.
And if you're Detroit offensively, really no need to panic. And Blackburn comes in really not having a good year. Earned run average over 7. So they should have an opportunity to get back in this game if they just stay patient and have good plate appearances.
Well, Blackburn didn't win his first game of this season until his most recent start. And, you know, we talked about the 7 ERA coming in, so certainly the Tigers, you would think, are not done scoring. In his last 4, an ERA of over 8. 6 home runs allowed as well. Now the 1-2.
Jim was talking to the media this afternoon, and he used the words tippy-toeing. And what he meant was he didn't feel like his team was playing with the kind of confidence they should be playing with, if they weren't believing in themselves the way they should. And he didn't say the team was panicking, but he did admit that they may be pressing a little bit.
Ooh, he got him, strike 3. Avila doesn't like it, but there's not a whole lot he can say because he's going to need those calls from Eric Cooper. That's a strike.
That's about as high as you can go.
Oh, man. 1 out. Here's Ryan Rayburn. Ball 1. Blackburn has not won on the road since July 8th of last season. In fact, he's 15-33 career on the road. Rayburn fouls it straight back. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ryan busted out yesterday with a big game offensively. Homered, had 4 RBIs. Helped lead the Charge back from a 6-0 deficit. At the knees, but inside. 2-1. Went around that time. Cooper, the home plate umpire, called it a strike. 2-2. Fill it now, 3 balls, 2 strikes on Rayburn, who was 4 for 10 in that Chicago series. Trying to set things up for the man on deck, Brennan Bosch. And the 1-2. Or the 3-2 rather, fouled back out of play. Blackburn last year was 7-10, and it was the first time in 4 years that he had not won double digits. Although even in those seasons he was around the 500 mark. Again the 3-2. And he walked him, so Rayburn is on. Second walk allowed by Blackburn. That'll bring up Bosch. Brennan now with an 8-game hitting streak. Had himself a nice road trip, 10 hits on that trip. And he rolls this one to first under the glove of Morneau into right field. Rayburn is on his way to third base. He's in there standing up, and the Tigers have runners at first and third. Bosch has a 9-game hitting streak now.
One of the toughest plays for first baseman to make, and really difficult plays for guys that throw with the right hand. If he's got the glove on the left hand, there's a pretty good chance he makes this play. But he has to reach over, therefore he can't get to it. And that's why a lot of managers, they love to have that first baseman over at first base that throws with the left hand and can have that glove on the right hand.
Well, here is Santiago. Ramon batting in the 9 spot tonight. Tigers trying to come back from a 5-1 deficit. Only one out here in the second. And Blackburn sails one outside, 1-0. There's your 9-gamer now for Brennan. In fact, it's his second 9-game hitting streak of the year. Fouled back out of play. Santiago is still trying to get it going offensively. He typically has been a fast starter with the bat. But this year just 154 and has really not received a whole lot of consistent playing time, but that has been his role.
I wonder if that has anything to do with the fact that Santiago did not play winter ball this year. He usually plays winter ball.
Good point. Talked to Ramon about that during spring training, and he said the one thing it did do for him is he got to spring training feeling a lot fresher, a lot stronger, but we saw what it did for Dirks playing winter ball.
Got off to a hot start. Dirks is one of the best performers in the Grapefruit League as far as batting average is concerned. When you play winter ball, when you get to spring training, you're already in game shape. Just a thought.
And 1-2. Grounded foul. Ramon really had played every year of his career in winter ball up until this past offseason. Just felt that he wanted to take a break. But perhaps we are seeing the benefits of it. Trying to pick up a couple of runners right now. He's got Bosch at first, Rayburn at third. And he fouled one off his foot. Actually, that was a shin, it looked like. No matter, it hurts. Of course, Santiago took one off the face, covering second on a play in Chicago. The ball hit the dirt, bounced up, and hit him square in the mouth. He would love a big hit here to try and get it rolling. It was 1 for 9 on the recent road trip for Detroit. Now time called, and Domit goes out to the mound. Well, it's been a season in which the Minnesota Twins have not pitched very well. Their ERA is 5.28, which is dead last in the American League, and we just are not used to seeing that. I mean, when they were winning Central Division championship after Central Division championship, they were pitching as well as anybody in the league.
Very efficient pitching staff under Rick Anderson. And he has been with Ron Gardenhire since Gardenhire took over as the manager in 2001.
Santiago takes outside, 2-2. They really haven't hit. They haven't pitched well, and these are the results. They're 10-26.
The 10 wins are the fewest among all 30 major league clubs.
Here's the 2-2 inside, 3 balls and 2 strikes.
The Tigers are down by 4 with 1 out in a 3-2 count. Bosch does have speed over at first base, so if he does decide to run, he might be able to steal the base if Santiago strikes out, which means Bosch needs to get a good jump.
There he goes. Bouncing ball through the hole, base hit. Rayburn scores. Bosch on its way to third, and Santiago gets it done.
Santiago picked the perfect spot to hit that ball. It's not that he was really trying to do so, but with Bosch on the move, Dozier, the shortstop, was going over to cover, and Santiago hit it right back where Dozier was standing.
So the walk comes around to score as Rayburn is in. 6th RBI of the season for Santiago. And already a confab on the mound here for Blackburn.
one more big run at least for the Tigers to pick up in this inning, with the runner on third, less than 2 outs, and one of their hottest hitters in the batter's box.
Yeah, top of the order coming up. By the way, you can vote for your Tigers McDonald's Player of the Game, presented by the Angus Third Pounder Deluxe. Using your cell phone, text Tigers followed by a space, then the player's uniform number to 37338, or vote online at foxsportsdetroit.com. So here is Jackson. AJ had a single and scored on the sac fly in the first. We've got Bosch at third base and Santiago at first base, and still only 1 out. Strike called, 0-1. Jackson is 4th in the American League with 28 runs scored. The 0-1 is shot to center field, sinking, base hit. Jackson is 2 for 2. The Tigers get another run in, and it's 5-3.
He is some kind of locked in right now. Jackson is on point. Great swing after great swing, and as a result of that, simply one of the best leadoff hitters in the game as we speak.
.333 batting average among leadoff hitters. That's 3rd best in the American League. He leads all leadoff hitters with 20 walks, which is one of the important stats that we wanted to look at this year. And, well, he's getting it done. And now the Tigers have the tying runs on the bases. 17th RBI for Jackson. Dirks shoots one to center field. That's going to drop, base hit. Santiago coming around to score. Throwing to third base, not in time. And Dirks goes to second. Ball game.
Both Santiago and also Jackson got great reads off this ball off the bat. They knew exactly where Komatsu, the center fielder, was playing. Santiago was off at the crack of the bat, which meant he was going to score easily. And Jackson got a great jump too, which allowed him to get to third base.
So Dirks on base for the second time. And the Tigers, now down by a run, will send up Miguel Cabrera. That's 5 Tigers hits. Ball outside, 1-0. Tigers fell behind by 6 in yesterday's game and came back to win it. Today they fell behind 5-1, and they're on their way all the way back. Cabrera fly to deep center his first time. Checked it. He did not go. No, says Marty Foster.
Take one more look at the base runners here. Santiago and Jackson, in the breaks that they get and the jumps they get on this bloop single. Off at the crack of the bat. Tigers have committed a few errors in this game, 3 to be exact, but aggressively running the bases.
Santiago had a big RBI hit. Jackson and Dirks have followed suit. And Cabrera shoots one to right field on a line. It's a base hit. Jackson comes in to score. Dirks goes to third, and we are tied up. Five straight hits.
If you weren't with us at the top of the show, and we told you that Blackburn has done very good work against the first 2 hitters in the batting order of all the teams that he has faced this year, but Dirks and Jackson have been aboard 4 times already in 2 innings. And you know who gets to eat when the table is set.
The big boys. Cabrera's 32nd RBI. Now Fielder stepping up to the table.
I was looking at Cabrera's RBI totals since putting on a Tigers uniform at the beginning of 2008, and I had to do a double take. He has now driven in 493 runs since the beginning of the 2008 season, which is 70 more than Josh Hamilton.
Wow.
70 more.
That's impressive. 1 ball, 1 strike. Hamilton's had an MVP season in that stretch.
Caddy very easily could have been right there with him in that MVP candidate. He's won a batting crown. He's won an RBI title. An RBI crown as well.
Jeff Gray heating up. Swinging a high drive right field, but it's coming in to Plouffe, who's under it. He'll make the catch. Runner tagging. And the throw to the plate is not in time. Dirks scores standing up. Another sac fly for fielder. And the Tigers have come back to take the lead. Well, that didn't take long. They were down 5-1 coming into this inning.
Well, Blackburn's been giving up 7 runs a game. He's close to that right now.
Here's Delman Young. He might as well join the party. There goes the runner, and now Cabrera will be tagged out. And that is that. Big inning, though, for the Tigers. They score 5 times in the inning. They erase a 5-1 deficit and take the lead. You're watching Tigers baseball tonight, presented by Bell Tire. It's 5 as we go to the top of the third. Bernstein Advantage brings you the scouting report on Justin Morneau. Get the Bernstein Advantage. We go to bat for you. And Morneau really has battled, as we spoke of, many injuries recently.
You know, when he had that concussion in July of 2010, he was the best player in the American League. He probably was going to win his second MVP that year.
Yeah, he had a really good first half.
I think he was voted in as the starting first baseman that year for the All-Star game and couldn't play in the All-Star game.
Morneau will bat second in this inning, and a big swing and a miss by Josh Willingham.
And if I'm not mistaken, Cabrera started at first base that year in the All-Star game.
Well, they're hoping Morneau can recapture some of that magic along with Mauer. Those two guys have really been not nearly producing like they have been. That's fouled back out of play. 0-2. Big inning for Porcello now. He gave up 2 in the first, 3 in the second, but his teammates have backed him up tonight. And they lead 6-5. Willingham had an RBI double in that first. The 0-2. Bouncing in. 1 ball, 2 strikes. In fact, the Twins, who came in with the third fewest extra base hits in the big leagues, already have 3 of them tonight, 2 doubles and a homer, but Blackburn unable to hold the lead. Again, the 1-2.
Now, Rick just needs to step up and put a 0 up on the board. His team has given him the lead, and that's what his priority should be right now.
Wouldn't chase the breaking ball. The count now goes 2-2 on Josh Willingham. Morneau and then Domet here in the top of the third at Comerica. In the air, right field. Hit pretty good. Bosch backing up to the wall. Looks up. It's off the wall. To second base goes Willingham. It's a 2-base hit. And now they're going to argue that it was a home run. Here comes Ron Gardenhire.
And they might win that argument.
Yep, I think it may be. We'll certainly take a closer look at it. But I think you're right on this one, Rod. It looked like it may have been above. A yellow line out there.
Will this be the first time that we have seen the umpires here at Comerica Park go underneath and take a look at the video?
This season, I think so. Bosch looking up. Right off the yellow line and back in play. And it looks like they will go take a look at it. And they will. So the home run is, or the double right now is under review to see if it is a home run. Willingham, as he approached second base, immediately pointed out there. And will either get a double or a game-tying homer. Clearly hit off the yellow line. And here they come. They didn't take very long to figure this one out. It's a double. So Willingham does not get the home run. He is given a 2-base hit, which will be his second of the night. Initially, I thought that ball was out. Clearly hit the yellow line and came back. So the tying run is second base. Here is Morneau, and he looks at ball 1. Ball outside to Morneau, who struck out back in the first inning. So another extra base hit for a team that hasn't had too many of them this year. Willingham represents the tying run. That's cued off the end of the bat. 2-1 the count. Morneau this year made his 8th opening day start for the Minnesota Twins. Won the AL MVP back in '06. And he waves and misses. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Morneau, a big-time hockey fan. He grew up in Canada, playing lots of hockey.
He'll get back out of play.
There was another really good Canadian-born player that wore number 33 as well, Larry Walker of the Colorado Rockies. Boy, was he a good player. Did not get nearly the credit he deserved because he played in Colorado, but talking about a guy that could do it all, Larry was nice.
Really good two-way player. The 2-2. Another foul, back out of play. Morneau last year was limited to a 227 average, 4 home runs. The concussion, which had been lingering. Porcello now has hit the 60 mark in pitches thrown, and we are only in the third.
The pitch count was a little bit of an issue against Oakland 5 days ago when he threw 100 pitches in 5 innings.
Cabrera won't get this one back into the seats. Rick has thrown as many as 105 in a game. But way too many pitches in that last start against Oakland. Willingham has doubled to lead things off here in the third. Ball high. 3-2. Ryan Doumit waiting on deck. That one's in the air, shallow right center field. Jackson lines it up, runner tags up, but he will hold. Willingham going nowhere. Right now we go back to the studio for a game break. Brian Field. All right, Ryan, thank you. Here it is 6-5. It's been equally as wild here. The Tigers got 5 in the bottom of the second to go up after trailing 5-1. And there is strike one on Ryan Doumit. He also struck out back in the first. Porcello had back-to-back strikeouts to close out that first inning. And the 0-1. 1 ball and 1 strike. Doumit spent parts of 7 years with the Pittsburgh Pirates. One pitch, he swung on and missed. Signed as a free agent last November by Minnesota. And he had a couple of decent power years with the Pirates. Blackburn helping his teammates can get him a few more runs. They spotted him a 5-1 lead.
I think Terry Ryan, their general manager, signed Doumit for a variety of different reasons, and a couple of them are protection reasons. Didn't know what he'd get out of Morneau. He could play some first base, Doumit. Didn't know how healthy Maury would be. Doumit catching here today. And Jason Kubel, they didn't know if they had enough money to re-sign Jason Kubel, so Doumit was that insurance policy just in case.
Flexibility definitely helps. And last season with the Pirates, .303 batting average in 77 games. Speaking of the Pirates, they're coming in next as interleague play begins. And the 2-2 fouled off. There's a couple of guys they certainly felt were mainstays in Twins uniforms and what they're doing now. Kubel, of course, is in Arizona and Kadire in Colorado, but the numbers they had posted both very solid in their career with the Twins. 3-2. It has been a struggle tonight for Porcello. 2 in the first, 3 in the second, and now battling to keep him off the board here in the third. With Trevor Plouffe waiting on deck. Ground ball right side, base hit. Willingham rounding third. He will score. It's an RBI single for Ryan Doumit, and we're tied at 6.
The right fielder, Trevor Plouffe.
Looks like it's going to be one of those nights, Rod, where we're going to see a whole bunch more scoring.
I was thinking the same thing. I think Rayburn got glove on this ball, a couple of steps in a dive, and it trickled right off of his glove, but he wasn't able to slow it down enough or glove it. And Jackson, actually, he did not get glove on that ball. Excuse me.
'24th RBI of the year for Doumit, who has been very productive for them. And now it's Trevor Plouffe. Still only 1 out in the inning. That'll get back out of play. 72 pitches now for Porcello. Plouffe, a fly ball to center field. He's 0 for 1. Blackburn gave up 1 in the first, 5 in the second, but his teammates had come right back, and there's a wave and a miss. 0-2 the count. Twins and Tigers in a short 2-game set. Day game here tomorrow. Grounded foul.
I just noticed we had a 4 o'clock game on Saturday. Did you know that?
I did. 4 o'clock Saturday.
We don't usually play 4 o'clock games unless it's a national game.
Right.
It's all good, though. Get out and get a nice dinner.
Here's the 0-2. There's a line drive caught by Cabrera. Throws back and throws it away.
Oh, my goodness.
Doumit will get to second base. That is going to be the 4th error of the game for the Tigers.
The second baseman, Alexi Castillo.
And Cabby, after snaring this line drive, just kind of threw off balance, threw off his right foot, and just bounced it over to Prince. And Prince couldn't get over and knock it down.
So with 2 outs, the Twins now have a man at second base, and the Tigers have 4 errors in this contest. Here's Alexi Casilla trying to drive in the go-ahead run. One ball, no strikes on Casilla. Tried to butt his way on his last time up. Cabrera made a dandy of a play on it, charging and throwing him out. And it's 2-0.
Almost a calendar year since the Tigers have committed 4 errors in a game. You have to go all the way back to May 24th of last year versus the Tampa Bay Rays.
Now it's 3-0. Tigers to start the year had played very good defense. .30 pitch on the way. Casilla taking all the way. It's in there, a strike. 3-1. That'll get back out of play. Fill the count now at 3 balls, 2 strikes. .80 for the pitch total now for Porcello. 80. Got a 33 pitch 3rd inning. Porcello trying to get rid of Casilla here to close down this frame. And the 3-2. Bouncing ball to short. Here's Santiago on the charge. And that is that. However, the Twins come up with a run to tie it up. We head to the bottom of the third. On Fox Sports Detroit is brought to you by Arby's. It's good mood food. And by AT DET, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. Well, Rick Porcello has had a rough evening so far tonight. He's thrown a lot of pitches. But so is Blackburn, and Blackburn's done for the night.
Porcello wasn't really helped by his defense here tonight. 4 errors has caused him to throw a lot more pitches than he would have normally had to throw, but he's still off a little bit too.
Wallside Windows pitching change as Jeff Gray takes over for Minnesota.
Gray's got some good numbers, but he has walked 8 in 14 2/3 innings, so that's something we'll watch for here today and see if he's a little erratic.
Of course, Porcello has been the victim tonight of 4 Tigers errors, and Miguel Cabrera a little bit upset with himself, knocking the bubble gum all over the place. So the Tigers now try and pick up where they left off. Delvin Young will start things off, and he rolls one to third on the first pitch right at Jamie Carroll. And Delvin is 0 for 2, 1 away here in the third.
When the season began, Jamie Carroll was their starting shortstop, given a 2-year deal as a free agent. Valencia, you kind of surprised he's not here anymore?
Well, yeah, based on what we saw from him last year, I thought he was an up-and-comer.
He was going through it. He was 0 for 25 before they finally sent him back down to Rochester.
Here is Avila. Avila struck out back in the second. I was looking up some numbers the other day, and around the American League of guys that are considered starters, they counted 15 guys that were at 200 or under 200 in the batting average column. And there were some big names. There's a ground ball to second. Casilla stays with it. And there are 2 out. Guys like Pujols and Hosmer. But all across baseball, there have been some lower averages. Some well below 200.
It has been a strange year.
Rayburn trying to climb back up to 200. He had a walk and scored a run back in the second. 6 runs on 6 hits for both teams. The difference, the Tigers have committed 4 miscues in this game. Ball 1. So Blackburn is out after 2 innings of work tonight, and his struggles continue. And he typically had been very good in the month of May. In fact, that was his best month career-wise. Gray was born in Texas City, Texas. Now the 2-0. Ground ball, third base side. Carroll again. Gray comes out of the bullpen and throws a 1-2-3 inning on 3 ground ball outs. Let's go to the 4th.
Night. We've had tons of survivors and supporters here at the ballpark before the game began. And Corey, you're actually the honorary back girl, and you got to throw out the first pitch. Talk a little bit about you are a fighter, a survivor. What did today mean to you?
It was really cool. It was, I don't want to say a reward, but it was awesome to come down to the park and be here and see all the survivors here, and it was a neat experience.
You look around the ballpark and you can't help but notice not only the blue and orange for the Tigers, but a lot of pink here tonight. It has to feel good knowing there are people that are still lobbying for the cause and here, you know, joining together.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. I brought my whole family. They're out, brought their pink, so it's really neat to see.
Well, good. I'm glad you're enjoying the game. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Guys.
All right, Shannon, thank you. Yeah, it was great to see before the game all of the cancer survivors kind of ringing the field out around the infield today. It was a great gesture by the Tigers, and of course all the survivors been through a lot, so it's good to see them smiling. As Jamie Carroll leads it off here in the 4th inning. Carroll, then Komatsu, and then Dozier. 6-6-0 for the Twins, 6-6-4 for the Tigers. Porcello's next pitch is fouled back out of play. 2-2 on Carroll. Single run scored back in the 2nd. Porcello came into this inning having thrown 81 pitches through 3 frames, and so he's back to work here in the 4th. There's a ground ball to second, 2 steps to his right. Rayburn. Carroll is out of there, 1 gone. Back up to the top of the order now, Komatsu. Komatsu reaching on one of the Tigers' errors back in the 2nd. Komatsu's had an interesting journey to get to Minnesota. Cardinals got him from Washington in a trade. He was originally a Rule 5 pick. He was designated for assignment. and then picked up by the Minnesota Twins. He still retained his Rule 5 status, which means he must remain in the big leagues all year.
The kind of year that Minnesota is having, you can afford to have a player like Komatsu and leave him in the big leagues all year and learn if you think he's going to help your team in the future.
Played his college ball at Cal State Fullerton.
It's a good baseball program.
Tigers AAA manager Phil Nevin played at Cal State Fullerton. 1-2 on Komatsu. Little pop up, shallow left field, slicing and landing foul. A trio of Tigers converging on it, but none of them could get there. It has chilled down considerably here at the ballpark tonight. It was a gorgeous day in the Motor City today.
57 degrees as we speak.
A jacketed crowd as the evening progresses. Still got to get you one of those.
No, you don't.
The 1-2. Because you wouldn't wear it, would you?
Nope.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Even if I paid you.
Nope. Couldn't pay me.
How about
enough.
that?
Wouldn't wear that one either.
Come on now.
Negative.
I'm not sure I know what that is. Swing and a miss. Komatsu's out of there, and Porcello has another strikeout. 2 away. Well, it is time now for the Mazda scouting report on Rick Porcello. The Tigers tonight have gotten him 6 runs, and, well, it's just about where they are typically since 2009. Here's Brian Dozier. He shows bunt. Ball 1. It was Dozier with a big 3-run homer against Porcello back in the 2nd, and Minnesota tonight built a 5-1 lead. 2-0 the count. Activity in the Tigers bullpen. Dwayne Belo heating up. And with the pitch count mounting now for Porcello, looks like they will need at some point Belo's services.
Belo and a couple of other guys tonight. Porcello has 3 wins this year. All 3 of his wins have come against American League Central opponents. White Sox twice, Kansas City once. And we told you earlier that last year he just dominated this Minnesota Twins team.
Not so tonight, though. The 3-1 pitch. That's in for a strike. 3-2. And Brian Dozier. Joe Mauer waiting on deck. The 3-2 pitch. Slap foul down the right field line. Another really good crowd here at the ballpark tonight. Tigers back home for just 5 games before hitting the road next Tuesday. They'll start their next road trip, and that'll be a 10-gamer. We are used to seeing this. Big crowds every night. Again, back out of play. So his next pitch will be 100. In the air, left field. Dirks circling under it. Coming in now. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for Rick Porcello. But he has thrown 100 pitches in this game.
Tigers today just really haven't played well defensively played game. Prince made an error. Santiago has made an error. Ryan Rayburn has also made an error, and also Cabrera at third base made an error, and they have led to big runs in this game. Talked about that play a couple of innings ago as well. If Morneau has that glove on that hand, the right hand, then he might have been able to snare that one and get a double play to help Blackburn out, who started in this game.
Tigers 6 runs, 6 hits, and likewise the Minnesota Twins. As we go to the bottom of the fourth, a broken bat roller towards second base, and Bosch is out. So Gray, who came on in the third, has thrown 7 pitches now, and he's gotten 4 outs.
All grounders.
Porcello, meanwhile, 100 pitches through 4 innings, 65 of which are strikes. 4 in a row retired by the bullpen for the Twins. Gray, Santiago. Ramon showing bunt. Jeff Gray's previous big league time in the American League came with the Oakland Athletics in 08 and 09. Also time with the Chicago Cubs, the White Sox, and Seattle. He is behind 2-0. Santiago had a big hit back in that big second run, or a 5-run second inning for the Tigers. An RBI single, Ramon's 6th RBI of the year. Well, he is 1 for 1. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Domit flashing the signs, and the 2-2. High fly ball, shallow left center field. Komatsu is under it.
Hey fans, don't forget this Friday the Tigers face the Pittsburgh Pirates in interleague action at 7:05. After the game, enjoy a spectacular fireworks show. For tickets, call 866-66-TIGER or log on to tigers.com.
Interleague play is here for 2012. Pirates coming in. Here's Jackson. 2 more hits tonight for Austin. And he looks at strike 1.
Pirates have been kind of like that team that we play frequently in interleague play, just like we did with the Arizona Diamondbacks a few years ago.
Yeah, we've been there a couple of years. They're coming here this year, and we're going back there this year. Seen them a lot. That's lifted in the air to right. Trevor Plouffe is under it, and it's going to be another 1-2-3 inning for Gray.
I don't know exactly what he did, but after he took a swing and popped out in the final out of the inning, you could see on his look as he grimaces. And once he got down to first base, Tom Brookins alerted Kevin Rand, and he and Jim Leland walked out, and Jackson was walking off the field.
Well, that's one of the last things the Tigers wanted to see here tonight. Austin Jackson is done for the evening. Hopefully nothing too serious, but he's being led back down to the clubhouse.
As soon as we get word on Jackson, we'll pass it along to you.
We can tell you Don Kelly will take over in center field for Detroit. Top 5 here at Comerica Park. It is 6-6 in the first game of this series. Tigers have made a pitching change now. Porcello is done. Belo is in.
Belo has done marvelous work this year. 2-0 with a really good ERA, throwing lots of strikes.
And opposing hitters batting just 190 against Wayne. Joe Mauer leading it off. Doubled in a run back in the first. Belo's 0-1 pitch. To the shortstop Santiago on the backhand. Nice plant, and he got him by a step.
Santiago had Mauer kind of shaded up the middle and had to take 2 really good fast steps to his right, and he planted. And Santiago's got a really strong arm, able to throw Mauer out.
One gone here in the 5th inning. Willingham looks at a ball. 2 of the 6 hits for Minnesota tonight. Willingham has a couple of doubles. Belo's 1-0 pitch. Swing and a miss.
Willingham and Cabrera, once teammates when they played for the then Florida Marlins. They are now called the Miami Marlins.
Here's the 1-1. High towering fly ball. We'll stay in the park out in the left. In fact, Dirk's coming in now. 2 up, 2 down. How you liking the new Miami Marlin uniforms?
I don't really care for them that much.
I don't either. They got a nice sparkly new ballpark though. Justin Morneau, the batter. He's 0 for 2. Strikeout, flyout. Out of the National League East, a lot was expected out of the Marlins, and they are 2 over the 500 mark. There's Rayburn ranging left to the grass, and Belo comes out of the pen and throws a quick 1-2-3 inning. As we go to the bottom of the 5th, we tell you you're watching Tigers baseball tonight, presented by Belt Tire. TNT trivia question. Here it is this evening. It has to do with the Twins. What 5 Twins have won the American League MVP award since 1961? Okay, you need 4. There's a ball outside. As the Tigers hit now in the 5th inning, Dirks Cabrera, fielder. 6-6-4 on the board for the Tigers. 6-6-0 for the visiting Twins. Andy with a single and a walk in this game, and he fouls it straight back. 1 ball and 1 strike. Gray came on in the 3rd and needed just 6 pitches, and then only 8 pitches in the 4th inning. So he has calmed things down for them, as has Bilo for the Tigers. 1-1, and Dirks looks at a ball outside. 2 balls, 1 strike. And he, of course, had that 4-hit game on Thursday at Oakland, part of that big road trip. He hit .414 on the road trip. And he drives one to right, base hit. And he's on base for the 3rd time in this game. And when Jim Leyland put him in that 2 spot, he said he wants him to create some things, and he has created.
Really short, quick, compact swing Dirks has. And he just drills this ball to right field. No movement whatsoever. I mean, just a direct path to the baseball. No wasted motion.
Here is Cabrera. Tigers get the leadoff man on. First time they've done that since the 1st inning. And they back Cabrera out of there 1-0.
I did not know that that ball that Cabrera hit yesterday in Chicago was measured at almost 450 feet.
Really?
447.
You know, we didn't get a measurement on it. I didn't know it went that far. It's a long way. Here's the 1-0. Inside again. Two and 0 the count on Miguel. Single in a run back in the 2nd. Cabrera now with 32 RBIs. Good for 2nd in the American League. Of course, everybody trailing Josh Hamilton these days. Now the 2-0. Missed it high. 3-0. Fielder waiting on deck. It's the first trouble that Gray has had coming out of the bullpen. He had retired the Tigers in order in the 3rd and 4th.
Cabrera is usually one of those guys that does not like to swing 3-0. Sometimes Jim has to force him to do it, though.
He's taking here 3-1. Top 4 hitters in the Tigers lineup all have at least 1 RBI tonight. 2 of them for Fielder, a couple of sac flies. 3-1 pitch. Driven to center field, hit hard. Komatsu, it's over his head, up against the wall. Dirks coming to 3rd. They're going to send him home. He'll come around to score. Cabrera has broken the tie.
He is an absolute beast when runners are on base, and it doesn't matter if they're in scoring position or not. He can score you from first base. And this is why Cabrera does not like to swing at the 3-0 pitch, because he knows that Gray has to come right back with something over the dish, and he drills that ball over Komatsu's head.
Another good sign is that Dirks was running hard all the way, so apparently that hamstring feeling better.
I saw that.
And Cabrera now has 2 RBIs on the night. Tigers have reclaimed the lead 7-6. 18 multi-hit games. Cabrera leading the major leagues. It is the first extra base hit of the day for Detroit.
Is there a guy more valuable to his team's offense than Cabrera in this league? I mean, really. I know we have some other really nice players, but is there anybody any more valuable to the team's success than him?
I'd say no. I would say he is the most valuable to his team's success.
You look at all those guys in New York, they got lots of help. Texas, lots of players.
Driven to center field. Komatsu is under this one. Cabrera tagging up. The throw not in time.
But when Cabrera gets 2 or more hits, the team just seems to win most of those games. Good base running. Tagging up on the line drive. He realizes it's going to be caught. And he challenges the arm of Komatsu.
Seven runs on 8 hits now for Detroit. That's going to be it for Gray. Another pitching change here in the Motor City. 7-6 Tigers have the lead. We'll be back. In the bottom of the 5th inning, here is the Ace Hardware Scott's fan poll question of the game. Of these choices, what is the most exciting play in baseball? Is it A, the walk-off homer, B, the triple play, C, the inside the park home run, or D, the grand slam? To enter your vote, text ACE followed by a space and the letter answer to 37338.
I like C.
I'm inclined to agree with you. There's a pop-up down the right field line. It'll get fouled. Delman Young, the batter. And he's facing the new pitcher. That would be Alex Burnett.
They've got some guys in their bullpen with decent numbers. Burnett's numbers are not bad. Gray's numbers, who he replaced, weren't bad at all either. Minnesota playing the infield in with 1 out after Cabrera alertly was able to tag up and get the third on the line drive to center field off the bat of Prince Fielder. And apparently the scouting report that was given to Twins pitchers on Delman was to throw him lots of breaking balls because he has gotten a steady diet of them tonight.
He is 0 for 2. The 2-1 pitch. There's another one. Bouncing ball to short. This won't score the run. Dozier throws him out, and Cabrera holds at third. 2 away. That'll bring up Alex Avila. Burnett last year appeared in 66 games out of the bullpen. Avila is in search of his first hit tonight. Strikeout, ground out. Tigers now have 8 hits and 6 for Minnesota. Avila's not going to bat. Ryan Rayburn will hit instead. The intentional walk to Avila. And they would rather go after the right-handed batting Ryan Rayburn.
That is only the 7th intentional base on balls issued to Tigers hitters this year. First to Avila.
So here's Rayburn now. Walk and a ground out. Rayburn also scoring after the base on balls. Cabrera down the line at third. And Rayburn grounds it foul. Rayburn with the 4 RBI day yesterday. He sits safely in his last 3. We were talking about 3 or 4 days ago how the Tigers really had not been taking a lot of walks, but that 2-game series in Chicago they did. And we're seeing more base on balls for Tigers hitters. There's a breaking ball in there, 0-2. Dirks has walked tonight. Rayburn has walked tonight. The intentional to Avila. And a ground ball slowly towards short. Dozier has it. Off balance throw is in time. That'll take care of the Tigers. They get another run though on the Cabrera double. Yesterday, but Brett Laurie of the Toronto Blue Jays thought he had a walk, was called back. Thought he had a walk again, was called back, and he kind of blew up.
He blew a gasket, didn't he?
Through the helmet, it hit the umpire. He was ejected, and we learned today that he'll be out for 4 games and was fined an undisclosed amount of cash as well. Bill Miller was the home plate umpire. Meanwhile, Dwayne Below going back to the hill here in the 6th inning. Below came out of the pen, got a 1-2-3 fifth.
You could tell that Lowry wasn't trying to hit Bill Miller, but it looked bad.
It sure did look bad. And helmet came up and drilled him. There's a strike called. 4-game suspension for Laurie. Doman is the batter. Singled in a run back in the third. One of the 6 hits that Minnesota has tonight. Rick Porcello lasted 4 frames this evening, 100 pitches, so he will not get a decision. Here's the 0-2. Hit toward left and a base hit. Leadoff single. Back to the studio we go. Time for a game break with Ryan Field. All right, thanks very much, Ryan. And 8-3 there. Here the Tigers lead 7-6. We'll keep our eyes on that game. There's a wave and a miss.
I guess you can't throw a pitch high enough for Doman not to get to it. This is an 0-2 pitch they wanted up in the strike zone, which they got up. And somehow he got on top of this ball and drilled it.
His second hit tonight. Belo's 0-1 outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Trevor Plouffe is 0 for 2. Fouled off. 1-2 the count.
Minnesota initially claimed Cleat Thomas off of waivers when the Tigers designated him for assignment. Cleat's first couple of games with Minnesota were good, but they have since sent him to the minor leagues.
Did he homer in his first game?
He did.
The 1-2. Swing and a miss. Plouffe is retired. Belo has his first strikeout for Tiger pitching tonight. Well, Cleat was battling Andy Dirks for an outfield spot in spring training, and it appears the Tigers have made a pretty good choice because Dirks is really lighting it up. Here's Casilla. Check swing.
The Tigers had maintained all along that Cleat Thomas was a tools player. He could run, he could throw, he had some power, but he swung and missed a lot. They knew Dirks was a complete baseball player. Doesn't make many mistakes. Short, quick swing. Average speed, average arm, but doesn't really hurt you in any phase of the game. Just knows how to play.
And he is playing really well right now. He's settled into the 2 spot and in left field defensively. Big part of the success the Tigers have had at the top of their lineup.
Every major league player's dream is to get an opportunity to go out there every single day and see if you can establish yourself as a good major league player. And Andy Dirks is on his way to doing that.
He is indeed. Three-0 the count on Alexi Casilla, the number 8 hitter. Jamie Carroll waiting on deck. Here's a 3-0. He takes a strike. Casilla tried to coax a walk. A couple of steps out of the box before he was called back by Eric Cooper. And there's ball 4. Belo missing. So he's given up a single and a walk in this inning. Tying run scoots to second base with 1 out. Jim Leland, Jeff Jones having a chat. Porcello went 4. Belo came on to the 5th. And now some trouble here in the 6th inning. For a Twins team that has been struggling this year, they have come into this ballpark tonight. They've been scrapping. They ran out to a 5-1 lead before the Tigers scored 5 in the 2nd and took the lead. There's a ball high and away.
That word scrappy, it pretty much describes the Minnesota Twins since I've been broadcasting games in Detroit. They are a scrappy bunch under their manager Ron Gardenhire.
Getting word on Jackson now, a mild abdominal strain. He is day to day. One and one on Carroll. So that's good news. Jackson's such a key part of what the Tigers have been able to do. And Austin, as a matter of fact, had 2 hits in this game tonight, plus an RBI.
He had scored 2 runs, too. Flawless defensively in center field. He's irreplaceable.
Low, 2 balls, 1 strike. Carroll, a single and a ground out. He has scored a run. And the 2-1 pitch. We'll get back out of play. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Leadoff single by Domit. He's at second base. Casilla has walked. At the top of the order waiting on deck. Eric Komatsu. The 2-2. Low, 3-2. They've got shades of 2007 here at the ballpark tonight, the night that Justin Verlander threw his no-hitter. You might remember there were a lot of birds in the outfield, and they have returned here to the ballpark this evening. As Gene Lamont gets on the telephone. Got 6 or 7 of them just kind of walking around the outfield grass. 3-2 pitch is driven toward left field. It's going to be a fair ball. It'll go to the corner, and it looks like it's going to score 2. It will. A 2-run double for Jamie Carroll, and the Twins are back on top.
The center fielder, Eric Komatsu.
And Jamie Carroll got himself a 3-2 fastball that was right down the middle, and he drilled it to left field. Casilla running from first base with outstanding speed, so he's going to score as well.
Meanwhile, Jeff Jones comes out to have a chat with Belo. As Carroll picks up his 2nd hit from the 9 spot in their lineup. He has 9 RBIs this year. And there is action in the Detroit bullpen. Luke Pekonen warming up. (8-7) Minnesota has regained the lead with a 2-run 6th inning. Now Komatsu, and he takes ball 1. 0 for 3 tonight for Komatsu, reaching on an error back in the 2nd and scoring a run. Tigers tonight with 4 errors in this game. And he popped him up. Left side of the infield. Santiago calling for it. So 2nd out of the inning. And that's going to leave it up to Dozier. He slammed a 3-run homer back in the 2nd. And hitting an even 300 now for the year. The 3-run shot by Dozier, one of 5 extra base hits tonight for Minnesota. They had a 2-run double in this inning by Carroll. There's strike 1.
He's a nice two-way player. I mean, we've told you about the fact that he could really play that shortstop position, and those 12 hits since May 2nd, 7th, most of all rookies in the American League.
Ball low, 1-1. Well, Dozier was 3 for 4 yesterday in their loss to the Indians. He has a big 3-run homer in this game. He was hitting .276 at AAA prior to his call-up. And the 1-1. Pulled foul. 1-2. That didn't even come close.
Twins all smiles tonight.
Well, they have a 1-run lead right now, 8-7. One and 2 the count. Brian Dozier. Swing and a miss, and Below dusts him off to end the inning. However, it's a big inning. 2-run double by Carroll puts the Twins back on top. Minnesota, we go to the bottom of the 6th inning, and Brennan Bosch will lead things off for Detroit. And Bosch seemingly has had a lot of success in the 7-hole, where he's batting .417 this year in limited time, obviously, in that spot. But he started the year number 2, has been bumped down. He's batting 8th tonight, and he is 1 for 2 in this one. .238 batting average. Bosch now has hit safely in 9 consecutive games. And he looks at a ball outside. 2-0 the count. Burnett came on, got the final 2 outs in that 5th inning. Tigers briefly took the lead, only to surrender it in the 6th. Here's the 2-0 pitch. High fly ball, left center field. And that'll be caught by Willingham. Bosch is out of there, 1 for 3 now. That'll bring up Santiago. One for 2 for Ramon, plus an RBI. Singled 1 home as part of the big 2nd inning. The Tigers scored 5 times in that frame. And Ramon looks at strike one.
The one thing we haven't seen Santiago do much of this year, and that's attempt to bunt for a base hit. That is very much a part of his game. And as he gets more reps, he probably should incorporate it again.
Two balls, one strike on Santiago. Lifted foul back out of play. Make it 2-2 on Ramon. Kelly will be next.
I got in to Jim's press conference a little late today. Did he give anybody any word on Papa Grande today?
Yes. The term that we always use, day to day. Yep. A little lower back problem if you missed it yesterday in Chicago, but he's day to day, probably not going to pitch tonight. And Jim said that going forward, we'll just have to see what happens as to who will close games if needed. But it didn't seem serious, so that's a good thing. Now the 3-2. Fouled back.
Yeah, it was a good sign to see Papa Grande getting on the plane last night, walking up the stairs by himself, carrying his own luggage. It's always a good sign if you got a bad back, if you can carry your own stuff.
Yeah, it looked like he was moving around all right. Here's the 3-2. Fouled off again.
If you missed it yesterday, this is what happened in the 9th inning of that Chicago White Sox game. He threw a pitch and grimaced, and Avila recognized it, and as any good catcher will do, went out there to talk to Jose, and Kevin Rand, who's been a busy man the last couple of days, walked off with Papa Grande.
And there's ball 4. Santiago is on with a one-out walk. Well, speaking of injuries, Kelly is coming up, replacing Jackson, who was hurt earlier tonight.
And Jackson took a swing, and you can see the grimace on his face. And they wasted little time taking him out of the game. If you're going to err on any side, it's got to be on the side of caution with Jackson.
Mild abdominal strain for Austin. Day to day.
Did you see Kevin Rand, Tigers trainer, in a national commercial with the ace, Justin Verlander?
I haven't seen that.
They have I think it's a Bear commercial, honestly.
Is that right?
National commercial.
No kidding.
Go ahead on, Kevin.
They're all big time down there. Here comes Ron Gardenhire.
Verlander's got all kind of national commercials these days.
Yeah, he does. We got to see if we can move in on one of those. Pitching change. We're coming back in an 8-7 game. wild one here. It's 8-7 in favor of Minnesota. Austin Jackson 2 for 3 in the game. Left the game with an abdominal strain. Andy Dirks batting in the 2 slots is at .444 now this year. 10 runs in 10 games. And the Twins with 5 extra base hits. They haven't had a whole lot this season, but they put up a few tonight as Brian Dunsing takes over now for Minnesota. And he faces Don Kelly.
Dunsing doing very nice work against left-handers. The batting average at 120. Righty's not doing much against Dunsing. Has not given up a home run in 17 and 2/3 innings. They got Glenn Perkins in that bullpen too. Another fireballer, left-handed.
Here's the 0-1. Swing and a miss. Kelly behind in the count 0-2.
So the back end of their bullpen doesn't seem to be all that bad, buddy. Dunsing, Perkins, Caps.
Not at all.
They can't get to him, though.
Well, that's the problem, yeah. In fact, hitters this year as a whole have been hitting just a little over 200 against their bullpen. Here's the 0-2. Popped him up. Third base side. Jamie Carroll for out number 2. And now the aforementioned Andy Dirks, who's had himself another big night. 2 hits, a walk, 2 runs scored, and an RBI. Well, Jim Leyland decided to insert Dirks into the 2 spot and lower Bosch in the lineup. I'm not sure he thought he'd get this kind of production out of Andy.
Probably not. Andy also hitting .286 against left-handers. Wearing out righties.
Trying to keep the inning going here with 2 outs. And he shoots one foul back out of play. .444 since moving into that 2 spot in the lineup for Dirks. Santiago is at first with 2 outs. And Dunsing's 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. If anything, the ability to get on base is what makes that number 2 hitter so important for the Tigers, with the guys they have lurking 3 and 4 in Cabrera and Fielder. Here's the 1-1, and it's driven in the air high into right field. Plouffe to end the inning. No runs, a walk, 1 left. We go to the 7th.
of baseball right now is Prince Fielder. He's actually carrying the consecutive games played streak. Right now he's at 218. The reason he now has a streak is because Matt Kemp actually went on the disabled list earlier this month. This is not the first time that Prince Fielder has carried this torch. It's actually the second time in his 8-year career. The first time was back when he played with the Brewers, of course. He got up to 327 games. That, unfortunately, that streak came to a close in September of 2008. Guess why, you guys? His kids had the flu. He unfortunately got the flu as well. He said if he hadn't missed that game, though, I went and looked up the numbers, today would be his 544th consecutive game played. So he is totally a trooper, and I actually talked to Jim Leland about that earlier today. He said the reason he goes out every day is because it's his game. He loves this. He loves his job. He's not going to miss a day. He doesn't want to miss a day, and that's why he's one of the best in the game. Guys.
All right, Shannon, thank you. Well, he's probably not going to catch Cal Ripken, but I tell you what, it's still an impressive streak nonetheless, and that's one thing that gets overlooked when you look at the numbers that Prince Fielder's had. He goes out there literally every single day.
It's a nice luxury to have, because you know there are certain days where he could definitely use a day off. But just by being in the lineup, guys like Prince, guys like Cabrera, they make everybody else better, and the pitchers are always in some shape or form pitching around those guys, and that gives the other players plenty of opportunities.
Yeah, that presence is important, and it's out there on a daily basis. Meanwhile, Joe Mauer is leading things off here in the 7th with Minnesota leading by a run. It's Mauer, Willingham, and Morneau. 8 runs, 8 hits for the Twins. 7 runs, 8 hits for Detroit. Wayne Belo is out there for his 3rd inning of work. And he just missed with that one. 3-2. Mauer had an RBI double back in the first. He is 1 for 3. Willingham on deck. He's had a big night as well. Mauer skies this one to center. Don Kelly backing up. 1 out. We'll bring up Willingham, and he's going to bat against somebody else, because Belo is about to come out of the game, and Jim Leland has signaled to the bullpen. And so Luke Pekonen will be coming in. Belo gives up the baseball. We step aside with the Twins on top by a run. The Tigers, Austin Jackson led it off with a base hit. Andy Dirks then walked, and after Cabrera flying deep and up to center to move up the runners, Prince Fielder had a sacrifice fly to get the Tigers on the board. Then they had a big second.
Blackburn just didn't have it today. He threw a lot of pitches that were right down the middle, and just about every Tiger that went to the dish in that second inning got something to hit, and they did not miss it. And give the Tigers some credit after scoring bunches of runs yesterday in that game in Chicago. They have come out here today and scored 7 so far. And then when Gray came into the game in the 5th inning, Andy Dirks gets it started. The big fella with a double over the head of the center fielder Komatsu, and that has been the scoring here today so far.
Tigers, however, trailing 8-7, and Luke Putkonen is on now. He is facing Willingham with 1 out, nobody on, and a strike call.
Putkonen comes in with an earned run average over 12. He has lost 2 games, but he really hasn't pitched that poorly.
He has showed really a variety of good stuff in his arsenal.
He's a guy that's going to have some success in the major leagues. Fastball gets up to 97. Nice speed differential in between the fastball and the breaking ball.
Putkonen is 4 for 4 in retiring the first hitter he has faced at the big league level. And that comes to an end with a screaming line drive right through the box.
0-2 pitches aren't supposed to get hit that hard.
Here's that AT&T trivia question again. We asked it to you a little bit earlier, and you had to think on this one for a while. What 5 Twins have won the American League MVP award since 1961? Justin Morneau is one of them.
Mauer. I had Puckett.
I had Puckett too. Incorrect. There are your 5. Zoilo Versailles was probably the one that was going to get some trouble
in more ways than one.
Yeah, Zoilo just doesn't roll off the tongue really well.
You take that one, I'll take the other 4.
I was looking at you. You were looking at me. Somebody going to say it?
I'd have just went to the second one.
Good old Zoilo. 0-1 on Morneau. One on, 1 out here in the 7th inning. It is 8-7 in favor of Minnesota. Morneau is 0 for 3. Here's the 0-1. Ripped down the right field line. Fair ball. It'll go to the corner. Willingham coming to third. They're going to try and score him. Now he's going to head back. They originally gave him the go-ahead sign, and then they held him up.
Mauer, fresh off the disabled list, and gets into the act just like several of his other teammates here. This is why, as a third base coach, you try to get down that line as far as you can, and that way you can kind of read exactly what's going on, and you can hold the runner up at third base if you need to do so.
So Morneau gets his 6th double of the year, and now with Domit due up, he will not bat. They're going to walk him intentionally. That's 10 hits now for Minnesota. Trevor Plouffe due next. And Putkonen will deliver ball 3, and he'll finish off the intentional walk. Colin Ballister heating up in the Detroit bullpen. Here's ball 4.
Hey fans, Tip a Tiger. It's an evening of fun for great cause where your server may actually be a Detroit Tiger. Join us tomorrow at CJ Mahoney's in Troy for the 2nd annual Tip a Tiger. Tickets are $16 in advance, $20 at the door. Celebrity service scheduled to include Joaquin Benoit, Valverde, Dotel, Dirks, and our very own Shannon Hogan and the Fox Sports Detroit girls. 100% of the proceeds will benefit the Detroit Tigers Foundation. Visit tipatiger.com for details.
Sounds like a plan.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, but you got through it perfectly.
Yeah.
Did you come in early and practice that one?
No, I saw it yesterday.
Oh, that's right.
They threw a couple extra words in there today, though. Not that it wasn't long enough yesterday.
We had 2 batters, by the way, by the time you finished that promo.
We missed a pitch?
No. Well, we missed a pitch. That's okay, though. Plouffe is up there with the bases loaded.
Chucky usually gives you them long ones.
I waved that one off. Give that one a rod. 0-2 on Trevor Plouffe. Well, this inning started with Willingham singling. He's at third base now. And you've got Morneau at second and Doman at first. Good breaking ball. See you later. Throws Plouffe. 2 gone.
We talked about the fastball at 97, and this is a pitch that kind of separates you when you have the ability to go 97 with your heater and then come back with a very slow breaking ball, an 0-2 pitch located beautifully on the outside corner.
So Pekonen will go after Alexi Casilla now with the bases loaded and 2 outs. Casilla backs out of the way of ball 1 right at his feet. Walked, scored a run back in the 6th. And that right now is the go-ahead run for Minnesota. They're trying to add to their 1-run lead. Here's the 1-0. 95. We've seen that Pekonen fastball about 95, 96.
He's going to have to come right down the middle now. And Casilla's already seen a couple of them. And Casilla's not really going to try to pull it. He's going to try to hit that ball to left field. Dirk's playing real shallow.
And the 2-0. He's taking 3-0 with no room at the end. Bases loaded.
Casilla, one of those guys that might take the next 2 pitches if Pekonen is fortunate enough in throwing a strike right here.
He is, and it's 3-1. Casilla this year has only had 2 at-bats with the bases loaded. He's 0 for 2. Three-one pitch. Driven to right field. Base hit. 1 run scores. That's all they'll get. It's an RBI hit for Alexi Casilla, and now a 2-run game.
And Casilla had the luxury of seeing 4 of those fastballs at 95 miles an hour from Pekonen, so he had a pretty good idea of just how quick he had to be with his swing.
So the bases remain loaded. Casilla gets his 5th RBI of the year. It's now 9-7, and here is the number 9 hitter, Jamie Carroll. Rolls it foul. Carroll had a 2-run double in the 6th. A couple of hits tonight for Minnesota. The Twins have posted 11 hits now. Way inside. It's been a roller coaster of a game for these 2 teams. Ron Gardenhire's club raced out to a 5-1 lead only to give that lead up. And now they've recaptured it. Way inside. 2-1. .95 for a high. With that fastball from Pekonen. That's drilled to center field. Kelly turns around, still going back. He'll get there, and that is that. Insurance run coming across from Minnesota. Stretch time, 9-7. Whole lot of scoring at the ballpark tonight. 9-7 for Minnesota as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning.
Kind of like that beat there. Is that the partner's mob?
Yeah, it's a driving beat.
It's nice.
You can add that to your iPod.
I could do a little lip focus on that one.
That'll keep you going. There's no doubt.
That's what you need.
Miguel Cabrera leads it off as we go to the bottom of the 7th. It'll be Cabrera, Fielder, and Young. 3, 4, and 5 in the Tigers lineup, down by 2 now. And a big night for Cabrera. Single, double, 2 RBIs. He's driven in 33 this year.
They've got 9 big outs left.
2 balls, 1 strike. Dunsing came on to get the final 2 outs in the 6th. He is still out there here in the 7th. The 2-1 is hit foul down the right field line.
Cabby has gone to his no stride approach against Dunsing. Just kind of picked the heel up and put it back down and took a swing. A little late on it, but there are certain guys that he will do this against, and I've noticed a lot of them are left-handers.
Any reason for that?
I don't know. Maybe he feels like the left-handers aren't going to challenge him very much. They're going to throw him change-ups and breaking balls off the outside part of the plate. He doesn't want to be too quick.
Bouncing ball to short. Nice high hop there for Dozier.
Dunsing came inside with a fastball here, a cutter, and was able to crowd Miguel with the approach that he had. You can see him just kind of pick that heel up and put it right back down.
Two for 4 tonight for Cabrera. Prince Fielder has 2 RBIs on 2 sac flies. Ball 1. Eight Tigers hits. Jackson had a couple of singles before departing with an abdominal strain. Dirks has 2 hits tonight. Likewise Cabrera. Top of that Tiger lineup doing some damage. Prince does not have a hit, but he does have the 2 RBIs. Chops this one back up the middle. Off the glove of a diving Casilla. There's a hit for Prince.
Hey fans, you don't want to miss this Sunday. The Tigers battle the Pittsburgh Pirates at 1:05. All kids 14 and under receive a Doug Fister growth chart. For tickets, call 866-66-TIGER or visit tigers.com. Fister showing his pearly whites. Great effort by Casilla. And a knock for Prince Fielder.
Delman Young. He's 0 for 3. Dunsing ready with the 1-0. Delman lines it toward left. That's a fair ball. It'll get to the corner.
Let's go, Prince.
Fielder is on his way to third. Stopping there. It's a double for Young. Tying runs in scoring position.
Slow looping breaking ball by Dunsing to Delman, and Delman waited on it perfectly. Look at the big fella.
Key time for Delman Young to get his first hit. Tigers 11-2 when they record 10 or more hits, and that was number 10 tonight for Detroit. Only the Yankees have a better record with 10 or more hits. So here is Avila trying to deliver a couple of runs here. Alex walked intentionally in his last at bat. 21 hits between the two teams, 11 for Minnesota. Fielder and Young. Way outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Blackburn started this game for Minnesota. He lasted just 2 innings. As Ron Gardenhire went to Gray in the 3rd, Burnett has come on, and now Dunsing. Two and 1. Avila has 12 RBIs so far this year. 2 big ones standing on the bases right now. And the 2-1. In there for a strike. 2-2, and Avila again with a bit of a disagreement there with Cooper.
It's the second time in the game today where I think Avila thought the pitch was high, and Cooper has called it a strike. Alex thought that was off the plate as well and may have had a beef there on the breaking ball. He's got to protect that plate now.
Swing and a foul tip. Barely alive. Gomit unable to hold on to it.
2 strikes, runners in scoring position with the infield back and 1 out. You just have to put it in play. Choke up, spread out, whatever you can do to make some contact.
Single by Fielder, double by Delman Young, providing a scoring opportunity here in the 7th. He stays alive. Avila this year with men in scoring position, just 3 for 25, so this would be a good time to turn that around. Dunsing ready with the 2-2 pitch. Fouled away again. Alex battling here. Strikeout, ground out, intentional walk for Avila this evening. Ryan Rayburn waiting his turn on deck.
Ron Gardenhire pacing.
He's already seen his team let a 5-1 lead get away, albeit very early in this game. 2-2. Low, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Tigers attempting to get back up over the 500 mark with a win. Johnny Peralta has picked up a bat in case he's needed. Here's the 3-2. Swing and a miss, and Avila goes down. The second out for Dunsing. A big strikeout.
Gutsy pitch there by Dunsing. 3 balls and 2 strikes. The off-speed pitch at 84 miles an hour.
That's going to be the last batter that Dunsing will face as Ron Gardenhire comes out, takes the baseball. They will go to the bullpen. And we'll step aside. Minnesota leading it tonight, 9-7. Here in the bottom of the 7th, they have runners at 2nd and 3rd. Jared Burton is in now out of the bullpen for Minnesota.
16th appearance now for Burton. Comes in with an earned run average just a shade north of 4. 13 strikeouts in 13 in the 3rd inning, so he must have a legitimate strikeout pitch. Only 2 walks. He's given up 2 homers, though. And Ryan Rayburn, he got off yesterday in Chicago. Place where he really likes to hit anyway. 3-run homer in the same inning that Cabrera hit a 2-run homer, and Jackson also hit a 3-run homer in that 8th-run 6th inning by Detroit yesterday.
Turned that game around after the Tigers fell behind 6-0. Rayburn had one of the big hits, and now he is up there looking for another big hit. Single by Prince, double by Young, but they're still standing on the bases. Walk and a run scored tonight for Rayburn. He is 0 for 2 otherwise. And he looks at ball 1 outside. Burton is out of Westminster, South Carolina. Pitching at Western Carolina University. Trying to strand a couple of runners here. The tying runs. Rayburn cuts and misses. 1-1.
Is that a changeup?
I was about to ask you that. It looked like it. It had changeup action. That's outside. 2-1.
It had some late life on it, whatever it was.
Burton has big league time with Cincinnati over in the National League. Broke in 2007 with the Reds. And a strike call.
That is a changeup. It's a hard one, too, at 87 miles an hour. What kind of necklace does he have on?
No idea. 2-2.
It's not important.
No, it's not. We're trying to identify necklaces now. Here's what's important: the 2-2 pitch. 3-2 on Rayburn. Bosch is on deck.
He's in love with that changeup. That much I do know.
Twins signed him as a free agent in November. Grounded foul. Rayburn still alive.
Burton's going to fool around and hang one of those changeups, and Ryan Rayburn just might hit another 3-run home.
Burton had shoulder surgery, which limited his activity last year. Appeared in just 6 games in the major leagues. Again, Rayburn waiting on a 3-2. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Burton comes out of the pen, does the job. Tigers strand 2.
Pitches that Burton is featuring here to Rayburn, but he threw them all at 87 or 88 miles an hour. Look at the speeds. Every last one of them, and for the most part, he kept it down. He hung a couple of them. Rayburn just missed it before finally putting him away. That's our Bill Tyer pitch by pitch.
Looks like a combination of a splitter and a change.
Now, what would that be?
A splange. Hey, it's 9-7. Twins still have the lead. Rayburn strikes out, and so we go to the top of the 8th inning. And Luke Pekonin's still out there for Detroit. Eric Komatsu will lead it off. Ball 1 to Komatsu. Dozier and then Mauer, top 3 hitters in Minnesota's lineup. Oh for 4 tonight. Komatsu did reach on an error back in the 2nd and score a run. Here's the 1-0. Ten hits for Detroit, 7 runs tonight, but they're still trailing by a 2 spot here in the 8th. Pekonin's 1-1. Floats in there for a strike. 1-2 on Komatsu. Pekonin gave up a run in the 7th inning, extending the Minnesota lead to 2. Here's the 1-2 pitch. 2-2 the count. First of just 2 between these two clubs in this series. Pfister will be on the mound tomorrow for Detroit. And the 2-2 pitch. Fouled away.
Pfister made an awesome adjustment his last start in Oakland. Pfister throws lots of strikes. Oakland knew that. They were jumping on his fastballs early. He had given up a couple of hits, a couple of runs. In that 2nd inning, he just went to his changeup and his breaking ball, and he kept him at bay. He made a really nice adjustment.
And again, the 2-2. It is inside. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Again, that fastball from Pekonin, 95. Dozier waiting on deck. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Bouncing ball right side. Rayburn backs up, plays the hop. And his throw is in time. 1 out here in the 8th inning. Now the upcoming pitching matchup presented by the Michigan Office of Highway Safety. The aforementioned Doug Pfister will be opposed by P.J. Walters.
Told you about Doug Pfister and what he has done. Obviously, you know what he did last year in the Tigers uniform, 8-1 with a tremendous ERA after coming over from the Seattle Mariners.
Walters, meanwhile, time in the big leagues with St. Louis and Toronto. He'll get the call for Minnesota. There's a strike call.
And Pfister having that same kind of command that he had last year. Only 3 walks and 14 strikeouts so far.
The 0-1. Here's a bunt. It'll go foul. It's always fun to watch the pace that Pfister establishes. It's always a really quick pace. You can tell the defenders are ready to go.
Making a lot of nice plays behind him. He makes great plays himself. Nothing gets by him. Holds runners well.
Dozier had the big 3-run homer. That was way back in the 2nd. His only hit tonight. He's also scored a couple of runs. And Pekonin's 0-2 pitch. Got him, strike 3. 2 gone here in the 8th. Pekonin has his 2nd strikeout.
Pekonin has thrown some fastballs at 95 here today. He's also thrown a really good breaking ball in the low 80s, and he also threw a changeup as well. So he's got 3 pitches in his arsenal.
Luke stands 6'6". Born in Wheaton, Illinois.
Tigers have a lot of pitchers that are 6'5" and above. Porcello, Verlander, Valverde, Benoit, Peconin, Pfister.
They drafted Peconin out of North Carolina back in '07, third-round pick. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Ballister.
Here's the 1-1. Right back up the middle into center field, and Joe Mauer has another hit, his second tonight. 2-out single for Mauer.
Mauer not catching all that much these days. I mean, he spent a lot of time as DH, first base. And when they inked him to that huge contract a couple of years ago, which prevented him from being a free agent, I know they envisioned him as being their leader behind the dish.
Oh, no question. You know, Ryan Gardenhire was talking about him before the game today as Willingham stands in. And he looks at strike one. And Gardenhire feels that part of Mauer's offensive woes this year are because he's been a little bit frustrated with the pitching staff, and he takes that upon himself. They have not performed well pitching-wise. And Mauer feels some of that's his fault. And so he has taken that with him to the plate. At least that's what Gardenhire feels. And Joe came in batting .270. Now he's won 3 batting titles.
Yeah, so those are unlike Joe numbers.
Yeah. Well, he's had 2 hits in the ball game tonight. Here's the 0-1. Swing and a miss. A half-hearted swing by Willingham. A 3-hit game tonight for Willingham. Double single. His 7th multi-hit game of the year so far. Mauer trying to move up, and he will on a ball in the dirt.
Great read by Mauer. As a catcher himself, he knew as soon as that ball left Peconin's hands that it was going to bounce, and it's very difficult for a catcher to one, pick it cleanly and then pick it up and throw you out. Look at the read he got.
So he is a base hit away from scoring. 1-2 the count on Josh Willingham. Grounded foul. We're talking about Willingham a little bit earlier. 29 home runs last year with the Athletics. Signed as a free agent in December, and he came out of the chute red hot. In fact, had a 15-game hitting streak in the month of April. Was a Player of the Week award winner that month.
He appears to be a guy too that you don't want to throw too many fastballs to.
2-2. (9-7) Twins lead. They bat here in the 8th.
Playing Willingham to pull. A lot of room down the first base line. Prince about 15 feet off that line.
Strike 3. Tipped it into the glove. So Peconin strikes out a pair here in the 8th. On Fox Sports Detroit is brought to you by Bell Tire. Get the lowest tire price, period. Bell Tire. And by Toyota, brought to you by your Greater Detroit Toyota dealers. Back here in downtown Detroit at beautiful Comerica Park. It is 9-7 in favor of Minnesota tonight. Game 1 of this homestand for the Tigers. And the Tiger Bats trying to get it going here in the bottom of the 8th inning, trailing by 2. Bosch, Santiago, and Kelly due up here in the 8th. And Bosch tonight is 1 for 3, batting .236. First pitch sails outside. Drew Butera is the new catcher. He replaces Dometh. Here's the 1-0. Bosch pops it up, shallow right. Trevor Plouffe has to come a long way because he was playing really deep out there. 1 out. Burton retires the 2 batters he has faced in this game. He's going to bring up Santiago. Singled in a run back in the 2nd, and he's also walked in this game, on base twice. That is popped up toward left field. Willingham is on the move toward the line, and 2 quick outs.
Hey fans, I got a great way for you to keep up with your Tigers. You can do it with MLB.com at BAT12 for your iPhone, iPad, Android, and Windows Mobile. Get live audio, pitch tracking, video highlights, and more. Text at BAT to 31826 or visit Tigers.com for details. Now that promo is more like it.
Nice and snappy. No big words. There's a strike called on Kelly. Kelly replacing Austin Jackson, who left the game earlier after 3 at-bats. On his 3rd at-bat in the 4th inning, he suffered a strained abdominal muscle, and so he is day-to-day. Kelly popped up in his only at-bat in the 6th.
I'm sure Jim will say today in the Tigers post game, Tigers live post game, no one's going to feel sorry for you. You still got to go out and play. Valverde a little nicked up. Now Jackson a little nicked up. Several teams going through injuries.
Right to the first baseman, Morneau, and that's going to be a quick 1-2-3 inning for the Tigers on our way to the 9th. Inning, Colin Ballister will come in now and pitch for Detroit.
Colin just needs a clean inning. He has kind of struggled with his control the last few times that he has gone out there. He has 12 strikeouts, but 10 walks in just 17 innings pitched, and he's also walked 4. And you can see the batting average is sub 200 when he's around the dish. So he just needs to get his command back.
He will face Justin Morneau and then Drew Butera and Trevor Plouffe in the 9th inning. 9-7. Twins have a 2-run lead. And Morneau looks at ball 1.
Good to see Ryan Field back off of vacation.
And when he's not gallivanting around Europe,
oh my goodness,
you can find him in the Call Sam studios.
Where do you go, Spain?
He went to Spain, I believe. Yes.
Must be nice. Huh?
1 ball, 1 strike. It is good to have Ryan back. Of course, he had a long season with the Pistons basketball because that was condensed. Their schedule was 1-1 on Justin Morneau. 1-2. Ballister replaces Pekonen, who replaced Velo. Porcello tonight, 4 innings of work. That's outside. 2-2.
Yeah, I guess it's a little bit of a shift on Morneau. Santiago, the shortstop, is probably a couple of steps to the shortstop side of second base. Cabby well over in that hole as well.
Little pop up, shallow center. Kelly will come on to make the play. Nice running catch, run gone.
Don't forget to join us again tomorrow for more baseball when the Tigers take on the Twins. Coverage begins at 12:30 with Tigers Live on Fox Sports Detroit. That's Tigers baseball tomorrow at 1 and right here on Fox Sports Detroit.
Matinee tomorrow to close out the series. Then the Pirates come in for the weekend.
Love those Thursday afternoon games.
Yeah, they're good. There's a ground ball fair inside the bag at third. Butera is on his way to second. He'll pull in with a double. He came in as a defensive replacement and chips in with a 2-base hit.
Got a fastball and got out in front of it, and Cabby was off the line and had no opportunity to knock it down.
13 hits now for Minnesota. Well, Trevor Plouffe. He has struck out his last 2 times up. They're not supposed to have this many extra base hits. They've had 7 in the game.
13 total hits. They haven't had many games, I'm sure, where they've had 13 or more hits.
Here's the 1-0 to Plouffe. Low. 2 balls, no strikes. Ron Gardenhire's team became the last in the American League to reach 10 wins. There's the 2-0. Fouled off. 2 balls, 1 strike.
Minnesota giving Plouffe every opportunity to establish himself as a everyday big league player. They are in that situation the Tigers were in with Cleat Thomas. Plouffe out of options. Minnesota still feels like that if they designate him for assignment, then someone will grab him, and they don't want to lose him. He's had some good minor league numbers.
He has.
They don't always translate, but Minnesota still feels like he can contribute at this level.
$15 homers last year and a .313 batting average at AAA Rochester. The 2-1. Bouncing in there. 3 balls, 1 strike on Plouffe. went ahead with a 2-run double by Carroll in the 6th. RBI single by Casilla in the 7th. Casilla waiting on deck right now. And the 3-1. Swing and a drive. Way back. Yikes.
That's why they don't want to designate him for assignment. A lot of scouts here just saw that too.
A 2-run shot for Trevor Plouffe. Cleared the bullpen into the seats out in left field, and it's 11-7 Minnesota.
Ball actually kind of tailing in on Plouffe, and he just pulled his hands in and drilled it.
Gutierrez scoring easily on the homer with a 2-run shot. 14th hit of the night for Minnesota. 11-7 game. Casilla takes outside. Season high for Minnesota in hits is 20. They did that in April against Anaheim, or Los Angeles to be more precise. Big swing. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Did you see where the Angels fired their hitting coach, Mickey Hatcher?
I did. They have been underperforming offensively this year. Of course, Pujols having a tough season. And Mickey Hatcher had been with Mike Scioscia ever since Mike took that job in Anaheim.
Well, they go back even further than that, to their Dodgers days as friends, as players. That had to be tough for Mike Scioscia to do.
Here's the 2-1. Checked it. Did he go? Negative. Jeff Kellogg said so. 3-1.
It's always difficult to fire a friend.
Angels have a lot of good offensive pieces in that lineup. There's a walk to Casilla. 3 straight reach after the first man was retired. Jeff Jones coming out. Ballister surrendering the 2-run homer, now the walk.
And while we have a moment, let me show you our Nissan drive of the game. And it was Dozier, their talented rookie shortstop, who hit a 3-run homer back in the 2nd inning. And also Plouffe here in the 9th, a 2-run shot.
Couple of big home runs for Minnesota tonight, and they lead by 4. Here's Jamie Carroll. Bouncing ball to 3rd. Straightens out for Cabrera. The 2nd one. Relay. Got him the double play. 5-4-3 inning-ending double play. But the Tigers now down to their last swings. The new Miller Lite Punch Top can for a smoother pour. It's not just a good time, it's Miller time. And it's last call for the Tigers as well, and they will face a new pitcher as we go to the bottom of the ninth. Glenn Perkins is on for Minnesota.
I don't know where Perkins got the extra 5 miles per hour that has allowed him to throw 97 miles an hour the last couple of years, but he has found it somewhere. When he was starting for Minnesota, he was 91, 92, but now he gets up to 97. 17 strikeouts this year and 5 walks for Perkins.
So the 29-year-old who was born in St. Paul will try and close this one down. He's going to have to go through the meat of the Tigers lineup. Dirks Cabrera, fielder. But it's a 4-run game now, courtesy of the 2-run home run by Trevor Plouffe. 11-7 Minnesota. Dirks a couple of hits and a walk in this game, trying to get it started here. There's 95 from Perkins. 1 ball, 1 strike. And another base hit for Dirks. He slices one to left center. There's a start. And he on base for the 4th time tonight.
He takes that direct path to the ball. Not a whole lot of movement. Leads with the bat knob. Bat kind of lags, but he's making some really good contact these days.
Here's Cabrera. Ball 1. So the Tigers now have 11 hits. A 3-hit game for Andy Dirks. Here's the 1-0. 2-0. Time call now as Butera walks out to the mound.
Make sure you stay tuned. After this game, our coverage will continue with Tigers Live. You'll hear from the manager, Jim Leland, players, plus we'll break down the game, show you all the highlights immediately after this one on Fox Sports Detroit.
This looks like a double play ball. 4, 6, 3. And there are 2 gone. Hit sharply, but Casilla able to start the twin killing.
Casilla, nice flip over to Dozier. Dozier with plenty of time to finish the double play.
It's all up to Prince Fielder. He looks at strike 1.
You know, there's a lot of things that are kind of puzzling to the start of this season for Detroit, but for me the most puzzling thing is the fact if they lose this one, they will not have won back-to-back games since April 17th and 18th.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, and it really is amazing how they just have not been able to get on that, I don't know, even 4 or 5 game roll where they get a few games above 500 and try and take off from there. It literally has been win 1, lose 1. That's back out of play. And on a night like tonight, where the Tigers have 7 runs on 11 hits, Porcello lasted just 4 innings. You know, he threw 100 pitches in 4 frames and did not walk anybody, which is an oddity in itself. That's to center field, and it should do it. And that is that. The Tigers in the 9th get a hit, but a double play takes him out of a possible rally. Perkins closes it out, and Minnesota wins it tonight by a score of 11-7. Back with more from Comerica Park.